So, just as you all quit talking, that would be excellent. It would be, very nice. Nice, well done. It is very nice to be home. I say that our family, we actually haven't been here in 4 weeks, and for some of you, maybe you go, oh, that's not that bad. That's regular. I miss our community, and we were just driving here, and I was thinking about it, and I go, man, I so value the body of Christ, and it has been so nice to actually be here together, worshiping and sharing life together. I had the privilege of going to church in Mexico once, and I so enjoy our sound quality. Thank you, Rod. It was very nice not to become deaf after a service. So this morning, we're going to share a little bit about the Mexico trip. If you don't know, the church, there was 23 of us that went on a trip from December 26th until January 4th down to Primo Tapio to Casa de Luz. And we're going to share and try to share this morning some of what happened in our lives and some of what we did. And I don't know if you actually can truly share. I think the best way to actually discover what we are about to share in some of the pictures is to actually go on a trip. So I would encourage you right off the start to say, hey, go on a trip. Come with us. Come and experience what we share about, what we talk about so often, because it's amazing. This morning, and maybe I'll just say this trip, I think I saw and I discovered in a new way what it meant to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And I think we talk about it often here. We say, hey, let's be the hands and feet. Let's do whatever we need to do. And this trip, I discovered what that meant in a new sense. And I hope that over the course of the morning, you see what that means. Because it's not always serving. It's not always being there giving out. It might look different, and we discovered the heart of God in a new way on this trip. If you don't know, over the past 2 years, Casa de Luz, mainly over the last 2 years, has grown significantly. We have 60 kids that are in the program right now. We're hoping by the end of this year that there'll be 80. And we have had the privilege of watching God do what only God can do. That's the most amazing thing. And to be part of it is, I go, that's what we live for. To watch women who are on the edge of suicide and they want to give up their kids because they can't care for them, and 2 years later, they are like actually hiring other women, and they are giving life, and they are speaking hope into other desperate people. That's why we do the kingdom. That's why we love Jesus, because we get to be part of watching people do it in the lives of others. So Casa de Luz has a significant place both in Primo Tapia, but within our hearts and within our house. So I just want to share briefly what we did on the trip, and that's some of what we do, but it's more about why we did it and what God did in our life, and we have a few people who are going to share with us this morning. So there were 23 of us who went on the trip. There were 15 adults and 8 kids. And we did a number of things. We showed up Thursday night late, and Friday morning we were down and we were decorating. How many of you sent a shoebox down to Casa de Luz? How many of you pre-wrapped your shoebox? Right, you weren't allowed because we asked you not to because they opened them at the border. So we wrapped them all. So I think there were 60 shoeboxes. So right away there was a team that just began to wrap shoeboxes. And wrap and wrap and wrap. We had sent down wrapping paper. When we decorated that building for Christmas like it was totally Christmas in a way they had never seen. We brought down probably 25 boxes of mini lights, and anywhere we could hang lights, we hung lights. Like, it was overkill. It was a bit gaudy, but it was totally good. It was very cool. It was totally worth it. There were lights everywhere. It was quite fun. So we decorated the building and we threw a Christmas party with them. They had a Christmas production going on. We just got to watch them celebrate the life of Christ through a production, and it was so enjoyable to begin the trip that way. We were involved in a building project. We were able to put in some of the underground septic lines and water lines and pour a footing and a foundation for the building. That is going up for our team building. We got to do kids camps, which is always a huge highlight, right? You get to set up a ropes course in the city park, and kids do what they don't ever get to do because we just hang some ropes from some trees. And it's so amazing to see the life come. We do crafts and dance camps, and the dance camps are so cool to watch as these boys and these girls learn these moves, and you can see encouragement welling up within their life as they're going, we're gonna perform this for other people. And it's just so cool to watch. We played an international soccer friendly, which we only lost by 1 goal, I can say. It was a very close game. We were all sweating. They were sweating because if they would have lost, they would never hear the end of it. But they did win. So then we played hockey after, and after we taught them which end of the stick to hold, we destroyed them. It was total. It wasn't even fair. Like, I don't know, it was 15-3 or something by the end. It was very nice. So it was a good way to end our morning off. So we did a women's spa night, which we've done in the past, because we want to love on these women who really have had broken lives. So this year, in talking with Erin, who is down there, she has been really trying to get the women to give back. So we are talking about a spa night, and she said, why don't we do, every woman that comes to the spa night has to invite a neighbor, and they perform the spa services for their neighbor. And she goes, that's a good idea. So all the women who came brought somebody, and they were able to, out of the shambles of what their lives look like, to serve and to love and to give hope to other women in their neighborhood. How amazing is that, to get to watch that? And the women on our team got to be part of that. The men and the boys and the other kids, we babysat, and we decided to throw a blacklight dance party for the kids in Mexico. So we had done a white t-shirt with glow-in-the-dark stuff, and we threw a party like they had never seen in Mexico. And it was awesome. So I was told we broke some spiritual ideas of what church and Christians and what fun is. And probably the coolest thing is the kids are all dancing, and then the moms are watching. And then Tony was like, let's get the kids to go get their moms. So all these kids ran out and grabbed their moms and said, come dance with me. And then all these kids and these moms are dancing together and having fun, which doesn't happen. It was the most amazing thing to watch them. They're just having fun together. And it was very cool to be part of. We did food hampers, which is a real significant part of our trip, to get to go into people's houses and share life and go, I have something for you. And we're going to share about the hampers. We did a health and nutrition day, which is one of the most profound things I think we've been doing over the past 6 months, working towards us. And they talked a lot about food, and they go, your relationship with food, and how is that dictating how you walk out life? We care about the women's hearts, and we want them to be repaired and whole and healed. We care about how they're living life, that the next generation would live better than they are living, that they would be healthier. So we taught about, well, we didn't. The people who came on the trip and who were qualified to teach about health and nutrition did. I'm not qualified. Fast food is not a quality that we teach about. So we taught about health and nutrition. And on the practical sense, we cleaned Casa de Luz. There was a day they were shut down, and we said, let's just clean. So they just cleaned Casa de Luz. They go, it needs to be cleaned. So that is some of what we did, which is cool. And you look at that and you go, man, that's amazing that you did that stuff. And if all we do is go in and do things and leave, I don't know if that's not what we're wanting. We are wanting to work with the Mexican church, with the La Hermosa church, build community and walk together with them. That when we leave, the church continues to walk on, that we've encouraged their volunteers, that we've encouraged their people to go, we can keep giving back to our community. So again, I would say I'd invite you to come with us on a trip. So we're gonna begin this morning. We have a quick video that we're just gonna play with for you to see a little bit from our trip. If you can hit the lights, that would be great. So that's a brief picture of some of what we got to be part of. And it's amazing what happens when God stirs your heart and you go, hey, I want to give back. And the situations you find yourself in that on your own, you can't do anything about it, but when God intervenes, anything is possible. And it's amazing. So we have a few people are going to share. Sarah, Kiana, why don't you guys come on up? And as this is a family trip, so we've asked, we go, hey, we need a kid to share. She was there. She was part of it. As it is, we threw her in the fire and said, hey, why don't you teach some dance? And it came out amazing. So why don't you come on up? So this is Sarah.
Hi. I just wrote it down because it's easier for me to read it than try and. So I'm just going to read this to you. It's just from my heart. So when Mike asked me to share, I got a bit freaked out because I honestly wasn't sure what I was going to say. I went into this trip not having too many expectations, just to do what I was told. I didn't come with any special talents. I'm not a nurse, teacher, gardener. Can't really do construction. I'm not even that great with kids, even though I have my own, but. So I guess I had to ask myself, why was God pushing me to go? I knew why it was important for our family to go. Words can only go so far in telling your kids about the world. We wanted them to experience a bit of it for themselves. I guess I was so focused on making sure they have a good experience that I forgot about how I would be impacted. So at the beginning of the trip, when Mike asked us to pray about what would be our story, I started to pray for something to pop out at me. I continued to pray throughout the week, but there wasn't really anything that I can pinpoint as my aha moment. I loved being there. I loved watching the kids open up presents, some for the first time ever. I loved being able to make crafts, play sports, games with the kids. I loved that we could serve the mums one evening and treat them to a spa night, something they don't ever get to do. I loved hanging out with Rosa and her team in the kitchen, trying to speak Spanish and talk about food. I loved that we got to live amongst the community of people at Primo Tapia and get to see what wonderful people they truly are. I enjoyed just sitting down and talking with our team and Tony and Aaron and just getting to genuinely getting to know people better. This, I found, was a large stretch for me. Most of you have no idea who I am, but those that are the closest to me, we often joke about how I'm not a nice person and I don't like people. So this isn't entirely true. I just haven't wanted to invest in people like I would have, let's say, a few years ago. I call it a tired heart. It wasn't until near the end of our journey when I started to realize this. My heart had been hard, not even realizing how bad for quite some time. And slowly, all week long, God started to soften it, and I was genuinely loving these kids, loving the people, and there was a shift of sorts that happened to me. I started to feel more alive and refreshed. So when Friday came and it was time to hand out the food hampers, I wasn't sure what to expect, but excited nonetheless. We had some pretty amazing stories of what God was doing, but there was one in particular that stuck with me. It was our last stop. Tony and Aaron took us to a very remote location called Brick Valley. I guess these people make decorative bricks, right? Kind of like they're not ones that you could use to build a house, but just more like and they sell them for like 6 cents a brick. It's very high up a mountain, cold, dreary, dusty, and very dirty. We split up into groups and kind of prayed and picked where we felt led to deliver these extremely heavy hampers. I was with Tony, Jocelyn, Marilyn, and a bunch of our kids. We were delivering a hamper to this one family when I looked down and saw a father, mother, and daughter down a dirt hill trying to warm up by the small fire. They kept looking at us with hope, and I knew that's where we needed to go next. So we proceeded to walk to what I thought was this family when Tony was like, no, we're going to go somewhere else. My heart kind of sunk a little, but I just prayed that we would go to the right family. Just after that, Tony stops, turns around, and says, no, let's go to this house. A relief came over me. We walked over to the family as they were trying to get warm, and Tony started to talk to them in Spanish and explain to them why we were there and what we were doing. It turns out this family has been trying to get in touch with Casa de Luz and Tony, as their son has special needs, and they were so desperate at that point on what to do, they have no support. Tony exchanged information, and the man proceeded to tell him that they weren't sure what they were going to do, as they did not have 1 ounce of food or water in their house. My body froze, and I had no words to speak. I think of this family often, and I'm so grateful God led us to them. Didn't want to cry. Okay. I know I want to go back there again, as there is just so much need. So what was God's purpose for me on this trip? I still don't know. Maybe it was to find the person who I once thought I used to be. Maybe it was to bring that family food. There was no one big aha moment for me, just many little things that created one amazing trip. So if any of you can all relate to what I'm saying, you don't think you have any talent or anything to give, know that if a person like me who doesn't like people and has no skill can do it, I know God has a plan for you too. And I encourage you to challenge yourself and see where it'll take you. And I do like people.
Hi, my name is Kiana, and I went on the Mexico missions trip, and I just wanted to talk about 2 things. The first thing that I want to talk about is the dance camp. And Michaela and I, we taught a dance camp, and I picked 3 people that I wanted to speak about. And the first person is Melissa. She was one of the younger kids. She was around the age 6, and she was really energetic. She always put effort into her moves and always smiling and always made it fun. Her smile was probably the best smile I've ever seen. It was so bright and so beautiful. And yeah, she always made everything fun for when they dance. And Alexis, you saw him on the slideshow, but you probably don't know who he is. He was around the age 8, and he was a silly type person. He was always silly and always goofing around, but he was always having fun, and he was always trying his best. And so, yep. And Ray, the last person I want to talk about, he was around the age 10, and my mom, she took a picture of me going across the floor teaching a kid a dance move. And so all of the kids were standing in the back waiting for their turn, and Ray was the only person practicing before he went on. So he was always prepared before everybody else. And he was always listening and really always doing his best. And yeah, they did really good performing it. And how it impacted me was how I can use my skills to teach them dance, and how any kind of effort you put in, they would always put their heart and soul into it. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was the dump. It was a Tijuana dump, and I actually thought that these people, they actually lived in a dump. But it made me feel better because it was actually, they put a 1.5 foot of dirt over it because it was 10 years ago it was a dump. So it was really old, and the smell was just horrible. And they had no electricity, sewer, or water, and they had to walk 2 kilometers just to get water. And only 2% of the population get to go to school in the whole entire dump area. And I want to tell you a story that Tony told us was about this girl who her dad thought school was just totally useless. And so she told her dad that she was going somewhere when she was really sneaking off to school. And what was really bad was when they hit grade 6, they need all of their ID of their birth and everything, but they don't have that. So then they can only go up to grade 5. And what we did there was we set up the plates and the cutlery and handed out the drinks, and me and Janaea, we would serve rice and beans, and then Janaea would serve tortillas with meat inside of them. And it made me really sad because some of these kids came up for tents because this is the only meal they get a day, and it made me want to cry. And one thing that made me kind of relieved is that Janaea, she had these clothes that she wanted to give to somebody because she never wore them at all. And so Tony found a girl for her to give these clothes to. And so she handed them, and I saw her handing them to her. And we were in, when we went to the dump, we were the first group. And so then there's a second group. And then the next day, the second group found the girl wearing the clothes. And it was, really, really good. And how it impacted me was, how it changed me is I just felt so happy that I can help these people by serving them and showing them God's love. And so yes, that's my experience on the mission trip.
You did very good. Well done. You did very good. It takes all types to actually make a trip function. We need people whose hearts have been broken in different ways to serve. And this is Dustin. He's going to share a couple stories from the trip.
I don't get the fancy mic like you, Mike. So I wanted to start off and give a bit of context or background to why I wanted to go to Casa de Luz and on this experience and why it was important to me. So first one for me is my wife is Naomi, if any of you know her, and I've got two kids, a 10-year-old daughter, Hallie, and my son just turned 7. He's Sam. So, when I was thinking about going down to Casa de Luz, one of the most important things was just to let our kids experience and see poverty, and really, let God break their hearts for the poor at a young age and just establish that early. And it's the majority of the way the world lives, and obviously, we wanted them to understand that, to experience it, and also to see that, obviously a relationship with Jesus is powerful, and though you might not have a lot, you have everything. And, I was happy to be able to say that the kids were able to experience that. The second one is my work. So I work in the clothing industry, and I travel the world a lot negotiating clothes with factories, and we travel to a lot. The clothing industry operates in the poorest parts of the world. That's what we do. We bring in and actually create economic value and employment in very poor areas. But my experience has always been, you go to a factory, you're in a factory boardroom, you walk through a factory, and then you head back to a 5-star hotel. So it's a really abstract view of that society. And so actually last spring, Gary invited me to go down to Casa de Luz, and I went down there for a couple days, and I had just been on a buying trip. So I kind of had a different experience. I went from a factory to moms that get paid very similar wages to what factory workers would be paid. And it was really powerful for me to just see it in a different way. See that it's not, this isn't living wage, it's more of a survival wage. And it was a powerful one, and it just made me want to go back and give back to the community there. So those were kind of reasons, why I wanted to go down. So let me share a bit about my experience. I wanted to kind of share 3 different stories that impacted me in different ways and were powerful to me. So the first one actually is the Tijuana dump as well. So I'm sure many of you have been down there and experienced that. For me, I think what was more powerful about that experience was we get, you wake up 5 a.m, it's early, it's, you got to get yourself out of bed, and, you drag yourself to coffee, or at least to me, to coffee right away. We get down there, and there's these women there, and they're older women that are part of the church. We're at the church building in the dump, and they're just, such joy, so happy and full of love, and they're dancing with me. We're making eggs and wieners cut up in this omelet, and I stepped back and I thought about it, and it was powerful. I went and played soccer with the kids with like sewage lines beside us. Like there was all those power stories, but what I really walked away with was, it was great. The local church was the center of that community. And they were giving and they were providing, and all these people were walking in the morning to the church. And I thought how powerful that is. And then you think about the local church here, and we dot every corner, but are we the center of the community? And I thought that was a powerful message to be able to take back to our community here. The second story for me, and one that was really actually quite emotional for me as well, was we had been out. It was the last day. We're there. We're having our last meal. Mike and I were actually running around. We were dropping off tools and equipment, and we're kind of late for dinner. So we get back, and I'm kind of thinking, like, we're getting our last Mexican food, so I better, like, eat up here. Like, this was good Mexican food all week. And so I'm excited. I walk in, and I look at these plates, and there's, like, iceberg lettuce and steamed vegetables and, like, stuffed chicken. I'm like, wow, this is weird. Like, this is just not what we've been eating. And so I wash my hands, and then I hear this story, and the moms there they were all there. They were all the moms, or at least a big group of the moms there. Were in the kitchen, and they had actually saved for 6 weeks to make us that meal. And how powerful is that? For me, it was such an experience of dignity for them to be able to say thank you to all of us, everyone involved that actually has made Casa de Luz. And the reason why I think I'll go back and continue to go back and support the ministry is actually because of these success stories. This story of someone being able to go from suicide 2 years ago to actually be making you a dinner to say thank you, to save for that and just give back. It was so powerful. And it was, Gary had just done a sermon the other week on I can't remember the words you used, but it was about a great gift in your life. So I remember context, sorry. To me, I remember that night we were sitting around, we were praying that night, and we were talking about our day and our experiences. And I was really teary that moment, and I was saying there, it was the greatest gift I've ever had, was a meal, and it was amazing. Then lastly, my third and final story, we decided we had not been on a mission trip as a family, so we decided to go to Disneyland at the end of it. So I don't know if I'd recommend that at the end of a mission trip to go to Disneyland, but anyways, we didn't know, so we went to Disneyland after. And day 2 of Disneyland, right? And you've just been serving the poor, and you're in Disneyland. So anyways, we're there, and my son Sam, and he's 6, right? He just turned 7. He's crying. He's in Disneyland. He's crying. He's in a store, and he's just crying. And I'm like, what's wrong, Sam? Like, we kind of pull him aside. He's like, I hate myself. I'm like, what? Like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, this is an issue. Like, what's going on? And so we sit him down and we talk to him, like, what's wrong? And he sits there and goes, I hate myself because I want everything, and I know I don't need it. So that made the trip worthwhile. It was a great experience. And one, again, I would just say, reinforce what Mike said. I would invite anyone who hasn't been to go down. It's a wonderful experience.
Thanks, Dustin. That's great. So the trip does different things to different people. I think all our kids came away better that we take them down to a place like that. And I loved it. I was I've had the privilege of going 5 times in under 2 years, which is mind-boggling. And every time I go down and I love and I hug kids, and you play and you wrestle with them, and they are looking for male attention like there's no tomorrow. What I discovered, and probably the most impacting thing for me personally on this trip, was fathering. I love kids. And we get to hang out with them when we're down there, and we do camps, we do all sorts of things. But I had never connected until this trip the need of fathering. I saw it so clearly, like at no other time. I'm on this trip, and part of it was kids were getting hurt, and we're playing sports, and kids just get hurt. I'm sorry, you throw 30 kids in a cement box with hockey sticks. It's just the realities of it. They swing the thing like an axe, and kids were getting hurt, and at times, some people on our team, they're like, whoa, the kid's hurt. And I just felt from about day 2, I was like, this is why I'm here this time, is to father kids to the best of my deal. And some kids I'm just holding crying kids, and I'm able to whisper into their ear in a language they don't understand the truth of Christ about who they are. And I was undone because I was like, these kids are desperately longing for fathering. There are many dads, there are few fathers. And there is such a need for fathering. I would say down there is such a need for fathering here, but I discovered it in a new sense that I'd never seen before. where I was able just to father kids. Fathering doesn't happen because you are a father, it's because you have been fathered. That's the reality of it. So that was probably one of the most impacting things where I was standing, part of it was I was standing in this soccer arena and Ali, what's his name? He's my sponsor kid, I can't remember his name. So he was standing right next to me. Antonio was standing right next to me, and he's standing right next to the soccer goal, which is okay if you're a goalie, but if you're just pretending to be a post, it's not the best. And he got hit like right in the head, like just snapped his head square in the face. And in life, normally, he has to take it and just suck it up. He fell into the fence and he just cried a little, and that's it. And he's got to suck it up because there's nobody there. And I just grabbed him and I said, come here. And you hold this kid in your arms who is hurt physically, but now he feels that he can actually express his emotions because there's somebody who cares. That undid me, because that is about fathering, and then being able to speak into his life and go, you're safe, and you're able to speak truth about who he is, what God thinks about him. That ruined me. I was able to father kids. And I would invite all of you, come. Let's father a generation of kids who don't have fathers. They have many dads, few fathers. And I would say that is here. There are many of us sitting here who haven't been fathered. We have dads, we don't have fathers. And that was the most impacting thing. Going to I never went to the dump, but doing different things and watching our kids get involved. It was amazing, watching them serve, watching them give. All those are undeniable, and I'm so glad we get to be part of it. But I invite you into the process of fathering. And I think that's how we're going to end, because we long that what we're doing here and what we're doing in Mexico would go for years. That when we pass on, that the next generation would go, I want to continue on seeing the hope and the life of Christ reside in the lives of moms and in the lives of kids. And we long to see parents and dads step up and dads become fathers. So we invite you into that. So I think we want to end, if there's somebody who can play something, anything except the drums. I was really impacted, and I'll tell you a quick story about this. I don't even know if I was married at the time. I certainly didn't have kids, obviously, because I wasn't married, but I was working in the jail. I was in a federal penitentiary, and I was speaking. I had gone in, and prior to this, I was like, God, what am I supposed to speak on? And he said, speak about fathering. And I was like, I don't have kids. What do you mean? So he goes, speak about fathering. So I began to speak about fathering, about the father heart of God and what it means for you as a kid. And this man, this 65-year-old man sitting at the back of the room at the end, I ended up chatting with him, and he came up and he said, can you pray for me? He goes, because I was never fathered. Age does not dictate fathering. It is about being fathered by the heart of God. It is about having somebody father and walk with you. And I stand here a bit blessed, because my dad was not fathered. My dad was abandoned and left on the streets of Vancouver. And somebody decided to invite him into his house and fathered him. And he experienced what it is to be fathered, and he experienced the heart of God. And thus, in one generation, he broke a curse. And he fathered me properly. And I would invite you into the opportunity to father. That we could see generations change, because dads become fathers and they speak the truth of Christ and they change lives. So maybe you're sitting here and you're going, I've never been fathered. I have a dad, which is amazing, and dads do great, but we're looking for fathers that lead, that bring change in our lives by what they say, by how they treat us. So we're gonna worship, and if if you're a father, if you're going, you know what, I've been fathered, and I want to father others. I want to express the heart of God that I've received. Can a few of you come up? Because I think there's people here who need to be fathered, who would love the interaction with a father and express and be shared with it. So if you're a father, if you can come up, if you're going, that's something God's done in my life, please come. And this, I mean, we work so much with single moms in Casa Luz. It is amazing. And it is undeniable, the work of God that has happened in the lives of single ladies. But we are now seeing the need for all these kids that have had these moms that their lives have been restored, and they're going, we're gonna walk right. Now we are gonna call the church in La Hermosa and go, fathers arise, and come and love these kids. So if you're sitting here and you're going, you know what? I need to be fathered. Maybe you just need to hear the words of a father in your ear, of what the Father thinks about you. We want to share that with you. We want to pray for you. Maybe you heard a story sitting here going, man, I don't think I could do a trip because what do I have? We invite you into this trip. We invite you into the journey of God, and come and pour out your heart for those who desperately need it. So if God stirred your heart in something you heard, we invite you into it. Come and receive prayer. There will be other people. But if you're sitting here going, I so desperately need a hug from a father. Maybe that's all you need. Or maybe you need the words in your ear. Come. We invite you into it. So why don't we all pray? And we're going to end with some, we're going to worship, but we invite you to come. So God, I thank you that we get to work with you. It's a rich thing to be in the currency of heaven, in the lives of people. So thank you that we get to be in the lives of people. God, thank you for what you did on this trip. God, how you changed our lives and how we were able to be part with you in changing the lives of moms and kids. But we long, God, that our lives would be changed at home, that our neighborhoods and our city would be gripped by Jesus. Lord, and you are a good Father. You are a Father who cares. You are a Father who loves. You are a Father who walks with us. And I just ask, God, that you would come and you would come and heal and restore trust in fathers, in male figures. God, that you would come and heal our body in that area, that we could perform and be part of healing to the nations. So God, I just say thank you. Thank you for what you have done, what you are doing, and what you will do. So we're just gonna worship. Maybe you just need to sit and think, but if you're sitting there going, I need to come and just interact with a father. We have good fathers in this house. And you are not alone. There are fathers who want to walk with you. So we encourage you, please come. This is not an age thing by any sense. This is about experiencing what the Father's heart is for you.